He said he was going to do a full background check to make sure that we can get you the best quality tenant into your space.
In challenging rental markets, more and more landlords are looking to real estate agents for help finding dependable tenants. But it doesn't always work out that way.
What ended up happening was we were up $14,000.
It's affecting your mental health.
Mental health, because I'm so stressed.
Many landlords assume working with an agent means a sense of security.
This is a profession that is heavily regulated, but there doesn't seem to be any accountability.
But is this a case of realtors not doing their jobs?
Landlords need to take responsibility. They need to read what they sign with the listing brokerage.
Or lax landlords missing details? Would you ever use an agent again?
No, never ever.
For a closer look, CBC first visited residential landlord Sanal Haq Zarawar last December.
I've been in this country for over 24 years. Never in my life have I seen this kind of mess.
Together with the help of his extended family, the accountant managed to raise enough money for an investment property.
So we had to put myself, my brother, my sister, we had to take money from my little sisters, like $2-3 grand, just to get all the deposit in.
To find reliable tenants, he hired a real estate agent and paid him the equivalent of 1 month's rent. At first, it seemed the agent had delivered.
As a coach and his wife is a nurse, I found them, to be people that are responsible and good people, who are not going to cause any trouble, and that's what they promised. It was okay for a few months. Then in June, that's when things started to go down the hill, where he started paying rent, and he said, okay, you know what, next month. And if you look,
he soon learned the wife who was listed on the application form as contributing to the rent didn't even live there, and none of his employer references answered. Then he got a phone call from another landlord.
I want to tell you that the tenant living in your house was living in my house. I'm like, I don't understand how, that makes no sense.
Zarawar discovered the tenant's agent racked up another commission, helping the very same tenant sign a lease for a separate place just a few days apart. Same agent, same tenant, different places, and still no rent being paid to anyone. 7 months later, Zarawar says the tenant is still there, won't leave, and now owes nearly $40,000 in unpaid rent.
We are doing whatever we can to continue to pay the mortgages, the bill, except the property tax, because we have absolutely nothing left anymore.
You're maxed out.
We're maxed out. We went through the savings.
In the family room, Zarawar puts on a brave face, but now his brother and his children have been forced to move in until the issue is settled. How do you feel? You pulled your family into this, and now you're kind of trapped in this situation. That must be difficult.
Believe me, it's psychologically, it's eating me on the inside.
It's affecting your mental health.
Mental health, because I'm so stressed. I'm depressed.
When he purchased the home in this Whitby neighborhood, he thought he was protecting himself by paying the agent to vet tenants.
That's their job.
But Zarawar says it turns out the contract didn't include that service, even though he says the agent promised it would be done.
They knew about it, and they just wanted to make a quick buck.
And when you confronted the agent with this information, what did they say?
They didn't deny anything. They just said, look, just try to work with them and get the money. But my question was, how are you trying? Because everything that you provide is fake.
They gave you the fake documents, they gave you the fake credit score. Everything was fake.
Zarawar is not the only landlord who told CBC he'd hired a real estate agent for an extra layer of protection.
I'm scared because there's professional tenants out there.
Only to find out after, not only was the thorough vetting not done, it was never in the contract.
It was a nightmare, and it took a good chunk of full year to deal with it.
I wasted money for something I could do on my own.
The shocking fact I learned was that how much landlords are left on their own to learn how to screen tenants.
I took it off the market. It's been off the market for the last 8 months. It's too stressful.
Would you ever use an agent again?
No, never ever.
As the housing crisis continues, small landlords make up as much as 30% of the market. With massive delays at Ontario's Landlord and Tenant Board and fluctuating interest rates, many owners live in fear of getting stuck with non-paying tenants. Here's the thing CBC has learned. This standard contract, the one a landlord would sign with a realtor, doesn't include vetting. So that added support you might think you signed up for is not a sure thing. This property manager says if landlords don't take that part seriously, they're at a higher risk of a bad tenant.
A lot of fraudulent information's on the rise. There's entire companies out there that advertise on social media that they will provide somebody with fraudulent documents, including pay stubs and bank statements and things like that.
Pamela O'Hagan manages over 200 properties. She quickly showed us why she doesn't trust realtors for vetting.
We had engaged the services of a real estate agent to help fill one of our higher end properties. There's not a piece of information within here, aside from their names, that was accurate.
She says the application contained a forest of red flags.
The address for the one applicant's employer was also the address of her reference, like her personal reference, who had a different job title. So that was the first issue. We don't just take the job letters and the pay stubs at face value. We couldn't find any record of this company existing anywhere. It was applicant one's father who wrote her job letter and said she made $50,000 a year. No one did due diligence on this, and had these tenants moved in, I fear what the repercussion would be to one of our clients.
As the price of rent skyrocketed the past few years, so did tenant application fraud. According to the Ontario site Rent Panda, fraudulent documents quadrupled between 2022 and 2025.
There is a certain level of trust that people take when they're dealing with real estate agents, when they're licensed, and that this is a profession that is heavily regulated, but there doesn't seem to be any accountability if nothing is vetted properly.
If you have a problem with your agent in Ontario, you can complain to the Real Estate Council of Ontario, or RECO. When CBC News contacted the regulator, they said they've received some complaints about vetting, but don't see it as a significant trend. But since CBC began investigating this story in December, they have since acknowledged there may be some confusion about the standard forms used in rental transactions, and they say they're now increasing communication with members to address the issue.
So let's get started, everyone.
That confusion is why this paralegal is teaching agents where their responsibility lies.
As realtors,
Since 2020, Beta DeLisi has been hosting seminars at realty brokerages. Last fall, she began focusing on vetting.
landlords should be pre-qualified. The reason I'm talking to you guys is because it's common practice that 99% of agents pre-qualify.
So where do landlords get the idea that agents will vet or pre-qualify tenants? She says sometimes it's the agents themselves.
Mainly, the impression comes from either the agent saying, I will provide you with a AAA tenant, or I will pre-screen prospective tenants. On term number 8 specifically, there's actually nothing in the listing agreement that outlines the realtor's role in pre-screening. Here, where it says landlords initiative. Landlords need to take responsibility. They need to read what they sign with the listing brokerage. They need to get involved with pre-screening and pre-qualifying. At the end of the day, that realtor is hired to, again, list and market the property. When that realtor's job is done, that landlord is stuck with that tenant.
He said he was going to do a full background check to make sure that we can get you the best quality tenant into your space. I think that's pretty much the main reason you hire a real estate agent.
Commercial landlord Misha Hamara learned the lesson the hard way after a tenant signed a 5-year lease and then ultimately never moved in.
Our tenant ghosted us. We reached out over and over again, and we didn't get any responses from them.
But Hamara was stuck paying his agent the value of 5 years' commission. He says the contract should match the verbal promise.
Legally, they might have protected themselves from a situation like this, but I think there's a larger moral or ethical question here at play. I think that there should be more regulation that holds real estate agents accountable.
The fact is, under the current regulations, if an agent is found in violation of the Real Estate and Business Brokers Act, they could be charged a fine, which is paid to RECO. Remember Zarawar and the agent who placed a tenant in 2 different homes? He says he tried calling RECO.
And when I called them, they basically said, look, we found no evidence of this agent doing anything wrong.
While Rico says some of the agents who received complaints will undergo new training on verifying tenants, it's small solace for this landlord living with the aftermath.
They ruined my life. So now I'm stuck with it, dealing with this tenant for over a year now. He's still on my property.
Property that you had dreams for, that you had plans for.
Those dreams are shattered. Those dreams are now nightmares.
CBC reached out to all the real estate agents and tenants involved in this story. Of those who got back to us, no one would comment.